Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be recapping our reviews from the month of November 2023. This video will feature three things: a discussion of our favorite coffee this month, as well as any honorable mentions, our upcoming coffee of the month, and anything else pertaining to this channel that we feel is worth discussing or addressing. So let's go ahead and get started with our honorable mentions. And as always, these are in order of when we reviewed them on this channel. And the first four coffees we're going to be discussing are from our Japan review series. And those coffees are the Kamajumba Lot 12, a wash-processed Rwanda from Coffee Rights out of Tokyo, Japan. Then we have the Acacia Hills Kesha, a wash-processed Tanzania from both Coffee County as well as Leaves Coffee, both also based out of Tokyo, Japan. And then last we have the Halo, a wash-processed Ethiopian coffee from Weekenders based out of Kyoto, Japan. And all four of these coffees were discussed a little further in our Japan recap video. So if you wanted more information on those, then I would suggest checking that video out. But that leads us into my favorite coffee this month. And this is a coffee we brought back from that Japan trip. And it is the Wilman Mayo AAA, a wash-processed Ecuadorian coffee from Sneak Coffee, based out of Tokyo, Japan. And this coffee right here impressed me for a couple big reasons, but it caught my interest in the first place because it is another Deepika Meharado coffee. And so many people know at this point just how much I've enjoyed this variety over the year. So when I did see this coffee, it immediately caught my interest, but it somehow surpassed my expectations by offering all of the immense sweetness I was hoping for, but some great complexity overall, as it also offered a lot of Kenyan-like attributes, including an abundance of bright berry attributes. So the combination of those two factors really made this one different from a lot of the other Deepika Meharado coffees. That being said, this one's only partially Deepika Meharado. It's a little bit of a mix. It also goes to show just what this variety is capable of, as every producer that we've had this coffee from has seemed to yield a very positive experience with those coffees. So that just continues to show why I'm enjoying reviewing these coffees as much as I am, and the hope to review a lot more of them in the future. Unfortunately, this coffee is no longer available for purchase for anybody that did want to purchase it, but I also do know that Sneet doesn't deliver internationally, so it'd actually be very hard for you to get your hands on this one. But this one definitely impressed me. I think the only issue it has is that it's in the Ecuador category, and our Ecuador category is extremely stacked this year, so it likely won't finish in our top 10 coffees of the year list, but it'll definitely find itself a spot on our honorable mentions. Right, that takes us to our coffee of the month, and it is the Vunga Washing Station, a wash-processed Rwanda from SK Coffee based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. And usually we have the bag right over here, but the coffee will not arrive in time before this video is released, so we have to go without it. But let's go ahead and discuss this coffee of the month, because this was yet another poll where it was split between the Instagram and YouTube votes, as one of the polls that we had favored the SK Coffee, and then the other one favored the Steady State Coffee, which was a wash-processed Peruvian coffee. Of the four coffees that were in the poll to begin with, the Coffee of the Month poll, my preference was actually the Mostra coffee, and I think that one finished last in both of the polls. And then my second choice was the Library Specialty Coffee, and that one either finished last or second last, as these two were the clear favorites. And it's kind of interesting to me that the Steady State one performed as high as it did, because it sounds like an everyday wash-processed Peruvian coffee, whereas this Rwandan coffee that we're going to be reviewing had at least a little bit more interesting of characteristics, as I've never seen something like a purple gemstone listed as a flavor note on a coffee. But once again, all of these coffees were taken from our suggestions recommendations list. So I basically went down the suggestions recommendations list, looked at the top roasters, that's to say the ones that had been suggested to us from the earliest amount of time, so the latest back that they had been suggested to us. And I just kind of looked through each one of them, the American coffee roasters, because again, we have some issues with the international coffee roasters shipping to the United States. And I kind of picked out which coffee sounded most interesting to me from those coffee roasters. That's why the Mostra was probably my top pick, but that Rwandan coffee definitely did sound interesting to me, so that one will be fun at the very least. But that's probably what I'm going to do if there isn't anything that continues to catch my interest, or there aren't a lot of coffees that are suggested to us over the course of a month, is kind of run through that suggestions recommendations list, because I'm trying to do my best to get through that list. But again, it always gets a little tricky based off some of the coffee roasters that are on that list in terms of obtaining those coffees. And in addition to that, they don't always have something that's overly interesting to me. One big example I want to give is Little Waves, which doesn't necessarily have anything that they consider in their light category. Everything is either a medium light or a medium in terms of that. So it's been very hard for me to find a coffee from them that I've wanted to purchase. Same thing goes with a lot of the other coffee roasters that are on that list. But as long as they're on that list, then I'm going to make at least an attempt to purchase coffees from those coffee roasters. Nonetheless, the coffee from SK1, and I am looking forward to reviewing that one because I do believe that we should review more Rwandan coffees on this channel, as we haven't reviewed too many, even though our honorable mentions category in this video did feature a Rwandan coffee. All right, that takes us into our final notes, and we actually have 3 things that I wanted to discuss. And since we have the Advent Calendar, what do you want to call it, holder right over here, the little case, the container, that's the word I'm looking for. Yes, since we have the KaffeBox Advent Calendar container, let's go ahead and discuss the KaffeBox Advent Calendar. As I mentioned in our previous recap video that we were going to be doing a blind taste test rankings like we had done a couple of years ago with the KaffeBox Advent Calendar, mostly because I do have a lot of reviews that we're trying to get released before the end of the year. So since those are kind of backlogged, then I kind of figured I wanted to condense the KaffeBox Advent Calendar series into just a series of blind taste test videos. So that means that we won't be reviewing each and every one of them individually like we did last year or like we did 3 years ago, as we seem to kind of flip-flop between reviewing each and every one of them as well as blind taste tests. But this year we just kind of opted for the blind taste test, and that seems to be a popular choice with you guys. I do already have all 24 of the coffees, so we won't run into any issues with getting these coffees in time. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. In my opinion, this might be the best set of coffees that they are offering in the Advent Calendar, as they have my favorite list of coffee roasters that they've featured in the Advent Calendar. So I'm hoping that this will be a very competitive one, as we have some really nice coffee roasters featured in that series. That takes me to my next thing, which is kind of along those lines, and it is the Coffea Circulor Ecuadorian coffees that have been released. So within the past week, Coffea Circulor has released a series of coffees that they've collaborated with Galo on. And for anybody that's not too familiar with the name, we did review a geisha from them earlier this year. But in addition to that, they might be more well known for their Cruz Loma, which was that 3rd place Ecuadorian Cup of Excellence. I want to say it was 3rd place, but it's the one that Save featured, and a lot of people were really excited to purchase the combination of a Sidra and a Típica Mejorado coffee that became extremely popular. That is a Galo Morales coffee, and the Cruz Loma is the Galo Morales farm, or I guess the Morales family estate in general. So when I saw Coffea Circulor release those 4 coffees, it immediately caught my attention, and I purchased all 4 of those coffees. And I kind of assume it'll interest a lot of people, as one of the things I've been waiting for from Coffea Circulor this entire year was their line of Ecuadorian coffees. So the fact that it's finally been released is one that's very exciting for me. And I went and immediately purchased all 4 of those coffees as soon as they became available, as well as a couple of other coffees that did catch my interest from that coffee roaster, as a lot of people know that I consider them to be one of, if not the best coffee roasters in the entire world. And they're featuring a line of coffees that are very appealing to me. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is an update for you guys, as I'm sure you're very curious about this. So the grinder that we ordered, which is the DF64 with the multi-purpose burrs, has been on back order, but it is set to be delivered on this, or I guess shipped on December 4th, December 5th. So we should be getting it sometime around December, probably in the middle or later parts of the month. So I know a lot of people were very curious to hear when we would be receiving that. And when we do receive that, I'm sure at some point we'll probably discuss the grinder a little further in depth. But that's just an update on that, as well as an update on the Advent Calendar, some coffees that we're going to be reviewing in the future, and just an overall recap of everything. So I'm going to leave this video at that. If you guys enjoy these recap videos, give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a recap of our reviews from the month of November 2023. Thank you for watching.